And welcome back to Checkpoint here on KTN News. We are glad you're watching. SMEs is what we're focusing on today. Just trying to dissect what are the issues for the small and medium enterprises. And I was just reading actually, Victor Otieno, one of the studies you've done around this, and that businesses, many of them never get to 1 year birthday when people start up because of the issues. We've had the Senator talk about the huge and numerous steps and licenses. But before we continue our conversation this evening, let me read some of your feedback. And we have Kimberly Kimani saying the president has chosen to be a frustrated president. He needs to sack incompetent leaders in some of those portfolios, such as trade and agriculture. Samuel Orutwa, you say majority of Kenyans belong to SMEs when it comes to credit, and once you make it impossible, you kill over 70% of our economy, and simply this means we deliver ourselves to destitution. And there's a guy who thinks you're very smart, Senator Tom Mishira. Oh. Daniel Doctor says, pick a trader from Gikomba to lecture people on what SME means. Your panel today should be able to understand that SMEs are suffering more than they perhaps can put in words. I'll bring this to you as I read this comment. Maelfu, I'm a shipping practitioner and I support the government fully on imports restriction. It is the traders who have done themselves injustice by colluding with inspection bodies to issue conformity to substandard goods. Is this a position you'd agree with, that that is also an issue as well?
Well, that is his views, but again, how do we collude with our officers to? It's not in our domain, first and foremost. And it's always good to understand our country and our people when it comes to whatever he's calling substandard. Because I believe that, let's start with our market.
Right.
Our own market, when you walk to the market, Sophie, you'll get, let's say it's tomatoes. They have the different grades. There are those people who afford Vunjeka, and the others middle class one, and the best quality. So when you come to Nyamakema, down to Nyamakema, the choice is yours. It depends on where your money will get you to. Yeah. So we have switches which are in different qualities and in different different qualities and of course different prices.
The Chinese factor is a big issue in your view, you think, when it comes to SMEs?
Oh yes, oh yes. That is, the market is being taken over. And if you may allow me to take you back a little bit. Briefly, and if you look at the importation which was done in 1990s for the second-hand vehicles, it was done by our own people. Right now, it has already been taken by Pakistan. If you look at them, when petroleum and petroleum itself, it's been done by Jungus and the Indians. When you look at the construction from the very big buildings and to the toilets, it's been done by Chinese. When you come to the SME, whereby we have the Du Bois people with cosmetic and Nyamakema, Gekomba call it, even including the Mitumbas, it's already been taken by Chinese. Look at Futian market in Yu. It's over 5 million shops. None of them is owned by an African. Why? I wonder how our government is issuing the visas and whatever and the licenses to these Chinese. How?
So we have the senator here with us. Talk to us about that, because it looks like a takeover. I mean, as a government, there's been a lot of borrowing, but now literally across the board, that is becoming a serious concern.
It's a serious concern, and I understand her frustrations. In fact, I spoke about this week. I got a petition from them earlier and tabled it before the committee of trade and such matters. I had brought back the report on the petition, and I said, you know, a country that is trying to develop, that is trying to make strides in its economy and trying to provide jobs, especially a country that's trying to create jobs, whose biggest problem is unemployment of young people, cannot then fail to protect its local business people, foreigners. You know, and even at great pains, I mentioned friendly countries. You know, you cannot have people from, let me say, Far East Asia hawking. You know, they sell goods to them, Then they follow them to see where they're selling. They come and set up. They have big go-downs in Nairobi.
Yeah.
You know? And I even put to task the Cabinet Secretary for Interior that you cannot issue work permits to people to come and do things that Kenyans can do or should be doing, especially when you're dealing with a problem of employment. Because even when those people come here, they have already been heavily subsidized and supported by their government. You know? So we must protect Kenyan business people. We cannot have ushers, and this is another matter I'm dealing with in the Committee of Labour. Ushers at SGR telling you where to sit. Who are Chinese? Surely. And there are so many young people who lack jobs. So that matter, just from a protective point of view, because of course we're a friendly country, and there are Kenyans also in those countries doing different things, but we must be able to protect certain aspects of our economy from infiltration. You have them doing everything. And there's a piece of legislation that I've seen being proposed by the member from Thika, that we need to actually increase the level of the public procurement and disposal, which we and which is I put in the 30% preferences for young people and women, is actually saying that businesses up to 1 billion, tenders up to 1 billion, should first be given priority to Kenyan industry. You cannot tell us that Kenyans cannot construct roads. You cannot tell us that Kenyans cannot be able to
so who's
supply
dropping
ministries.
The ball, Senator? I mean, it sounds like very many issues. So is there that the ball is not being held at all?
On this one, certain elements within the executive that are the problem. And we must say it. You know, we must say where the problem is, because it's hurting our young people, it's hurting our women, it's hurting our business people. And I say it, in as much as I'm from government party, I'm a legislator. In my work, my people in Nairobi are suffering because we are very ready to roll out the red carpet to foreigners, ready to let them in. Oh, come, you want to set up a kiosk? Oh, please, you want to roast maize? Please go ahead. But then tomorrow you'll hear the county government has demolished kiosks and of traders, telling them they're illegal traders. Oh, how can you be an illegal trader in your own country? Whereas we're not providing alternative places. So we must do what we do as legislators and provide the legal framework. But beyond that, those who have worked to execute must remember, your first interest is your Kenyan, like you. Not somebody who's come from there, being supported by the government. And finally, on counterfeit, because you said that, and we must understand where the balance is. You know, I cannot allow you to import goods. Then I come and say, oh, you've brought this pen. Wow, this pen looks counterfeit. So then I confiscate it. And then I've confiscated it as a government agency. Then down the road, you find it being sold in a shop connected to that individual who's confiscated it. There's corruption. And we must deal with that corruption. She's asked for civic education. Call them, tell them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goods are not good to be sold in Kenya because they have these issues of health. They're doing this to our environment. Please don't bring these ones. These ones you can bring. Then once you use them to measure what the market wants, because when you're doing manufacturing, we'll manufacture things in Kenya. We'll say, okay, this pen don't bring in because we are now manufacturing it. But how will you know what the market needs? They're the ones who are selling. They'll tell you actually the thing that is needed is bulbs, or it is weaves, or it is makeup. How can we build them? So they must be part and parcel of the Big Four agenda. They must be front and center of the agenda to manufacture in this country. So for now, let's not frustrate them as they bring in these things, but let's see them as partners, not as villains. Let's not see them as people to fight, but let's see them as partners to actually build our capacity to manufacture. That is what China did. You say there are fake phones in China. China said, oh, this is an iPhone. Oh, can we also produce it here? They didn't say, oh, this is counterfeit, don't touch it. Oh, let's try. Oh, we can also do this. Let's call it techno. That's how you build an economy.
That's how you build an economy. And I'm curious from you as well, Otieno. Talk to us first the interest rate cap and the issues or implication it has had for the small traders.
Okay, we did a survey again around the same because the debate had raged for quite a bit of time. And, financial institutions were saying that, we can't, you need to repeal this cap because we cannot be able to lend SMEs. So what we did is we did a small study to ask the SMEs, where are you or how are you financing your businesses? And most of them were saying that we are bootstrapping. We are using family and friends to just finance our businesses. So to me, or based on the survey, and again with IFRS 9 coming in, kicking in, I think in next year in January, it means that SMEs still will not be able to access money from financial institutions, and that's why we if you look at the recommendation based from the report, it's can we be able to have a wider discussion in terms of what size is this SME, what nature is this SME, and what kind of tailored financing can they be able to access. The way, maybe for example, an importer, you're importing and selling, your financial is different from someone who's doing an app. Probably test the product has to, it has to be tested in the market, and it's basically a high risk. So the kind of financing you would give, maybe for example, someone developing an app is not a bank. It has to be someone who's willing to give the risk capital for them to go through that phase where they can be able to generate revenue and now, go to a bank.
Okay. I want to hear your closing remarks. I mean, there's so much we could discuss. Our time is running out. We have about 3 minutes and quite a number of feedback as well still coming in. But Nyokabi, right now, if you were to sit with a president and you've had the senator saying it's in the executive that largely we're seeing the ball being dropped. So what for you would be the starting point? How do we get SMEs roaring, if you like, for our economy to look up?
The starting point, first and foremost, is to deal with what we have in Mombasa. For those things to be, those goods to be released, and that money to start trickling into our economy, which is about 3,000 containers, giving a very simple mathematics, which is about 1 million, coming to about 12 billion in our economy. And then number two is for us to be given what we need to follow as the importers, because what we import, 98% of what we import, it's not produced in Eastern and Central Africa. So we are not trying to jeopardize any manufacturing factories or what have you in our country, right? Yeah. And we are ready to follow that. Number two is for them to see a way of, we have been frustrated by the Chinese. Right now, I don't know whether I've just told you, most of our business people, they just came back with money. They could not load in China. Oh yes, they couldn't load in China because even the COC certificate, whomever is issuing it, 500 per item. Remember, these are one person got about 20 items. 500 RMB times 15, that is about 7,500 per item. Right. Per 20 items, that is about 150. So you can imagine, and these are people who are, the startup capital or the capital, what they have is about 500,000, right? 1 million. Okay. This is the money we are borrowing from chamas. Yeah. So there is so much to be done for the sake of the SMEs. Yes. And you can imagine it's trickling down. It's quite big. Okay. Like, adding to that, Sophie, if you may allow me, like Dubois, whereby I'm sure you are a customer to them. I'm sure, in one way or that. This is courtesy of Dubois.
You should be specific.
You can see I'm beautiful. You can see.
Specific, yes.
When it comes to lipstick and what have you. I mean, which manufacturing companies are they jeopardizing? So let's think about this. It's quite big.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, senators. You give your closing remarks. There's a Gerald here who says, ask Super Senator to comment on the issue of city market, whereby the small traders were evicted forcefully even after a court injunction was issued on the same.
Yeah, that's a local issue, and it's part of the things I've been dealing with. And I've just mentioned that we're evicting traders from outside the markets and in the markets. We're demolishing them. We are telling border people not to come into town, and then we expect people not to get into crime. There's a huge market being done on Kangundo Road in Nairobi to take many traders. Yet already there are rumors and there are feelings amongst the people that all those stores have already, many of them have been sold. And that's something that I'm dealing with. As a senator, I intend to visit there and to make sure that the right people get it. We must always see the people. Let's just look at a road. Oh, this is a road. The road is not made for vehicles. It's made for people to move, So when you're moving people from a market, when you're transferring them, the same problem I had in Westlands Market, where they were removed because of a road to be done. It has not even started yet. Yeah. And the funds are not trickling properly. And this is something I'm dealing with PS Maura, that you remove these people from the market where they were selling, where they were earning a living daily for their children, because someone wants to come and start doing a road. to date, you're not constructing the road.
Yeah,
These people are not earning a living. So you must change how we look at these things. You know, same as with the demolitions. Don't just look at a building. Don't just look at a deed plan.
Yeah.
Don't just look at infrastructure. Look at the faces of children and women and men who are working hard to earn a living. I think finally there's a glimmer of hope for the SME sector.
Yeah.
The president's frustration is hope for them, because he has seen, and I can confirm, even today we were with him early in the morning in church in PCS and Andrews, and he committed to actually being able to sit down with them, with Ann's team and the entire importers and small traders, not just in Nairobi. I've seen someone saying, "Oh, Senator, you're only pushing for Nairobi." No, I'm at the national table, and I must look at the entire country. But for him to hear straight from them, and to be able to direct his minister, wewe fanya hivi, wewe make sure you do that, because he understands what that sector and industry needs. Finally, on what he said, the banks, I know there are many other sources of financing, but an angel investor or a venture capitalist won't come to support and the rest. They go to banks.
Yeah.
And this is something that CS Rotich needs to actually sit down and say, how are we going to reduce domestic borrowing by government? Because the reason the banks can be even arrogant to small traders and SMEs is because their loan appetite is being filled by government. The reason when government reduces the appetite from domestic borrowing and from banks locally, they'll come looking for you. There's a time banks used to hawk loans. Wow. Banks used to come and say, please take a mortgage, please take this. But now when everything from government is going to the banks, then there's no space for them. So let's remember that for us to take for Big Four to work, we're talking about affordable housing. Who are the people who are trying to build and give them the capacity to buy those houses and even to build? Our locals.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll end it there, Otieno. 1 minute.
Just a rejoinder around finance. When we talk about angel investors and VC, we are not looking at foreign entities coming to invest in Kenya. Based on the study that we did, we found that there are many chairmans in this country. And most of these chairmans are sinking a lot of the money that they have in land. In real estate. So and majority was saying if SMEs can put their act together, they are willing to give money. And basically that's an angel investor. So there's a lot of money that is in chairmans, is in wealthy individuals, is in other entrepreneurs who are willing to give money to SMEs. It's only that they don't know how. And probably I think moving forward, can we have a discussion maybe, for example, in around a financial instrument market for SMEs? Like we have the Nairobi Stock Exchange. We have the GEMS, but the GEMS is not really working as such. Because if you're looking at an SME is being charged 1 million to access or even to get an expert. So can we be able to have alternative financing for SMEs and start exploring such issues? All
right. Victor Otieno, MD, Vifa Consult. We also have Johnson Sakaja, Senator, Nairobi County, and Nyokabi, Organizing Secretary, Nairobi Importers and Small Traders Association. Where are we, camera? Oh, there we are. So thank you so much for staying with us here on Checkpoint. We're taking a quick